Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be having a look at Leavanny. Leavanny is pretty bad. It did get a new buff with the fast move Shadow Claw, which does 6 damage and 8 energy, which is 3 damage and 4 energy per turn. I'm going to be pairing it up with Malamar and Toxapex for some bulk. Now, Leavanny is really bad. It's not very good. And even with the new Community Day move, it's still really bad, as it's incredibly glassy, and even though its damage output is decent, it has two very bad double weaknesses that make it extremely weak and volatile. Now the opponent just lets us KO them with 2x scissors. I'm not sure why. Maybe they want farm on Dugong, but I'm going to go for the Leaf Blade, and this will actually do some nice damage, as Leavanny is a pretty glassy Pokemon. We're barely not able to get the Leaf Blade, which is unfortunate, and now I'm going to send in Malamar. Malamar will be met with the Icy Wind, and I'm going to shoot up the next move. I'm expecting this to also be an Icy Wind, but it actually ends up being a Drill Run. Now I'm glad I shielded it. I'm going to overfarm and fire off the Superpower as the opponent switches into Dunsparce. Because we are single debuffed, it does do less than half. I'm going to answer Dunsparce with my Toxapex. Toxapex is a little bit weak to Dunsparce, as it does take super effective damage from the Drill Runs. This also means the opponent needs 3 Drill Runs to KO. I'm going to overfarm and go straight for the Brine. Opponent is probably just going to let it through, and this should leave them in a farm down range, but the Switch Clog is up. Unfortunately, we won't be able to make it to the Sludge Wave unless we get it on DRE, but any chip damage is welcome. I make a mistake here. I go straight for the Superpower. I should have at least switched in and overfarmed by a bit, or gone for the Foul Play, as now our attack and defense is debuffed. Now it's a race. Do we make it to the Superpower? Unfortunately not, and this game is just going to be a loss. In this game, Leavanny actually put in a fair amount of work, grabbing a shield and switch advantage, but I think that was just because of the opponent. They didn't play very well. Into the next match, a little bit of a decent lead into Dragonair. It is a little bit tricky as we do lose in a lot of shooting scenarios, but it's kind of okay for us, as the opponent does let the X-Scissor through. I'm going to shoot up the Body Slam as Leavanny is so glassy, and up against an even more glassy Pokemon like Shadow Dragonair, it won't do much damage. Opponent sends in Talonflame. This is one of the reasons why Leavanny is so bad. Talonflame is everywhere, and it gets 3-shot by Incinerates, and can do absolutely nothing against it. I'm going to send in Toxapex, and opponent sends in Whiscash to answer, and I send in Malamar. But with a 2-to-1 shield disadvantage, this might get a little bit tricky. Alarm there, yep. Anyway, that's alright. I'm just going to let the Scald through as, why not? Unfortunately, it does get the attack drop, which is not too bad actually, because one move will still KO, and the opponent fires off the Mud Bomb. I'm going to overfarm a little bit and go for the Foul Play, and Foul Play from this range will get the KO. Opponent sends back in Talonflame, and I don't think we've got any chance of winning this game, unless for some reason the opponent lets the Brines through, which I'm pretty sure they won't. With a 2-0 shield advantage, even Toxapex into Talonflame is going to lose, and the opponent fires off the Fly. That does so much damage. I understand it is boosted, but Flash still should not be doing that much damage into a Toxapex. So we also lose that game. In the next match, Leavanny into Steelix, and this one's actually in Thunderfang. You do not want to run Thunderfang in this meta. Clodsire is everywhere, and it goes from a decent matchup to an absolutely terrible matchup. Dragon Tail is definitely the recommended moveset. Last season, maybe Thunderfang would be nice surprises for things like Feraligatr, Mantine, and it could help in some matchups, but in this current meta, going for Thunderfang is not recommended. Opponent goes for another Breaking Swipe, and fortunately no debuff this time. I'm going to go for the Leaf Blade, and it will carry from this range. Opponent is going to send in Poliwrath, and I'm able to make it to the Leaf Blade, which is very fortunate, as this is either going to get them very low or grab a shield. I'm going to send in Toxapex, as I'm expecting Malamar will have some play in the back, and Toxapex will not. Sorry for the dog barking if you do hear that. Opponent is going to go for the Scold, and I'm fine with letting that through. That does absolutely nothing. And now the opponent, I'm going to go for the Sludge Wave. Sludge Wave will, I think, KO, maybe not. It barely doesn't KO, and the opponent switches into Lantern. This is fine. I'm just going to overfarm and go one off the Sludge Wave to catch onto my Malamar. Hopefully this is just the Surf. Yeah, it is. Maybe a catch was pretty unnecessary there. It's fine though. I'm going to keep overfarming, and the opponent's going to go for the Surf. And now I'm going to fire off the Foul Play after overfarming until almost the back-to-back. Opponent is going to shoot it up, and I'm going to overfarm and go straight for the Foul Play. And this time the opponent's going to let it through. I switch into Toxapex, and we've still got a shield, and this is a good game, as I'm not sure what the opponent was trying to do there, but they concede the match. Into the next match, Terra will lead into Tentacruel. I'm going to safe switch into Toxapex, and the opponent takes a while, but they respond with Bastiodon. I throw an alignment, but in this matchup, that's not too important, as it's a really slow, inconsistent matchup, and Brine is not going to be doing a lot of damage, and so is Stone Edge. Stone Edge actually does more than Brine, despite being just neutral and Brine super effective. It's a massive difference. Opponent is going to bail out. Actually, no, they don't outpace, but I'm just purposely not throwing my energy, so I get more farm on Malamar. Now, this is the perfect range where I can go for the Foul Play and then farm down. Now, opponent is going to let through. It leaves them in a nice farm down range, but unfortunately they do just barely get the move. I'm going to shield it up, as even from a Pokemon that hits like a wet noodle, Stone Edge is still a good move. Opponent sends back in Tentacruel, and this must mean they're really weak to Malamar in the back, or there's a Pokemon that is really good play into Leavanny, like Talonflame. I'm going to call the Acid Spray bait, but unfortunately it is just the Scold, and I'm sending in Leavanny. And alright, great. Those Incinerators did quite a bit of damage, and we lose that game after a lot of lag. Thanks for watching. Leavanny sucks. Do not use it.